Okay, now that we have our paper set up, what we will be working on next is the first sphere to shade. That would be blending. Here's the example, and it was actually a really good example that I had demonstrated previously. First thing we want to do is figure out where is the light coming from, because in this area will be the lightest part. It should be white paper. You will notice that I will then very, very lightly, you might be able to hear the scratching, the gentle, gentle scratching of the side of the pencil tip. I stayed away from this area, not touching it at all. And then I just very gently will add a layer of graphite using the side edge of a number 2 pencil. I will then add another layer of shading, but I'm going to stay a little farther away from that highlighted area. Now we don't want any harsh lines. We want to stay away from that area. I'm going to squint my eyes to make sure it looks very smooth and blended and gradual. It looks a little dark in this area. So what will I do? I will darken the rest of it to kind of match that. Make sure I go right up to that pencil line. Don't want the halo effect. Don't want that halo effect. I'm going to keep squinting my eyes, adding layers of graphite very gradually. And I'm going to now stay about this far away. There's this like semicircle here. I'm going to add another layer of graphite in that area. And I'm going to add another layer here into the edge. Got to make sure I get to that edge or it does not look real. I don't know if you remember us talking about shading up to the pencil line. But we need to make these lines sometimes disappear to create that illusion of depth. There's a line around everything that we can see. It just won't be as believable. So we really need to go to that line. Okay, so now that I have it pretty well shaded, what I will do is you can take a tissue, you can take a paper towel, you can use your finger. I will blend with my finger, following that contour. See how I'm swooping it to the contour? You can see the X from my eraser. That stinks. Don't like when that happens. I'm going to press more lightly with my finger as I get to that highlighted area. So now I blended that. I only used my one finger. You can wash it at the sink with some soap and water. But now what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to squint my eyes, make it blurry, and see where we might need to add some more graphite. Because you want to go from the lightest light of the white paper to the darkest dark. But if you go too dark, you can't really remove it. So you have to do this gradually. I've told you before that I will shade over areas 3 or 4 times before I am satisfied. Just because you went over it and filled in the area with some marks of your pencil does not mean it's done. Does not. The more you go over it lightly, very lightly with the layers, the more blended and real it looks. Last thing I like to do is just make sure that this is super bright, this highlight. Oops, throwing my paper around. I'm fairly satisfied with this. What I'm disappointed in at this point is that X. I am not going to take off points if you have a big smudgy X. Sometimes it's just because I used a pencil and whatever material this was made out of marked it, and it drew the lead. So this is blending. I will end the video now, post that on YouTube. before I move on to hatching. Squint your eyes, make it beautiful, try to make those lines around that disappear.